And upon the episode ending and not getting a post-credit scene, I sat back and I said, wow, this is probably one of my favorite episodes. Like the premiere and this are the top two for me. So what do you think? What are the top two for you? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Whole Use. Thank you for clicking the thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're doing our weekly She-Hulk video for episode 6. I like this episode, to be quite honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of the show. I'm not very high on it, but I feel like this was probably the best episode, or like one of the best episodes of the show. Like, definitely one of my favorites, based on how everything was executed and just how all the comedy landed and all the little bits and storylines just felt good this episode compared to previous episodes. Recapping the season, you had that first episode that I was really high on, but just had one bad moment to me. Then you get week to week, and I felt like each week kind of degraded. You hit a low point at episode 4, then you kind of creep back up with episodes 5 being better, and then 6 to me, it was really good. So let's go through it and talk about the things that I liked, and it's not many dislikes this episode, and that's always a good thing. Subscribe to the channel for more TV show reviews, movie reviews, trailer reactions, and we might even be working in a few video game videos over the course of the next few weeks. So jump on board with the channel, drop comments, please let us know what you think about all the different things that we try to bring up and talk about here on the channel. Getting into the episode though, the episode starts out with some fourth wall breaking, and you have Jen looking at the camera saying like, hey, this is a self-contained wedding episode, but like really, it really wasn't. Like, she might have presented it to us that way, but there's a lot of other storylines that really kind of developed, and I like where things went. When Jen first arrives at the wedding and you have her in like the sundress, made to fit She-Hulk, and she's walking in, like, to me, the character model in those frames looked really good. And She-Hulk, the character, looked much better in these scenes in this episode than she did in episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5. To me, it's very noticeable how those scenes were lit by comparison to this one and episode 1. I'm thinking that the character model just looks better under brighter lights, which is weird because most of the time when CG is bad, they do their best to hide it with darker shots and darker settings, a lot of nighttime action. If you want a point of reference, think of The Flash from the CW. Most of the CG shots were night shots because, just kind of cutting that budget. Keeping in step with the A storyline, I didn't think that I would like any of the characters that showed up at the wedding, and it turns out I really didn't. I did like Josh though. The moment that the Josh character came on stage and like started delivering his lines and started interacting with Jen, I had a really positive feeling about the guy, and I was really hoping that they kept things on the good foot with Josh. These little 30-minute episodes progress so fast. So, fast forward through a few little funny bits that showed up with the women treating Jen a certain way, and you get to Jen at the wedding and she's getting hammered, man. She's knocking them back, and she's in her human form so she can get drunk. I thought immediately she would like Hulk out, have her metabolize, and then go back to the Jen form, but she didn't do it. She stayed in Jen mode, she stayed drinking, and I thought this is gonna be a place where the Josh character would then turn and be like a date rapey type guy. I thought they were gonna do that because this show to me seems to take opportunities to like step on men when they can. Not saying that as a negative thing, because when we talk about the B story, I thought that stuff was great. I thought that they were gonna take an opportunity to step on Josh here, and I'm glad that they didn't. They kept him as a nice, honest, earnest type character. Like he's really stand-up type of guy, and he's really honestly interested in Jen, not just for She-Hulk. So I'm really hoping that that character really lives up to the good nature that it seems like he had on him throughout the episode. Titania shows up to have a fight at the wedding, and she showed up earlier in the episode, and that was like a little throwaway moment. We knew that something type of conflict was gonna happen between her and She-Hulk in the wedding, but it was cool to see the fight, and I thought this fight did really well as far as like how it played out on screen, because it wasn't like I talked about, the action in the show should not be action, it should be more like comedic action. And that is how these episodes, or this fight in this episode, came across to me. Like the Titania wedding fight was purely comedy, and it landed well. And again, the She-Hulk character model was well lit. She looked right, her arms, her back, everything looked really good, almost to the point where you could assume like, hey, maybe they got like a muscular body double to show up. No, this is all CG still, and she showed up and she did her thing, and I enjoyed the way the fight played out. The little comedy beat they tried to hit with Titania and like the teeth and it got broken up on a slipping and fall. Like, it was all cool stuff. So I like the way it played out. And again, leaning into the comedy side of the show is strong suit to me. So I liked it, the way that stuff happened. That's pretty much it for the main story. You get the ending of the episode with Jen and Josh look like eating a plate of fries and they having a good time. And then it pans out to like some other stuff, like some more sinister things that's happening in the background, somebody surveilling Jen. But that brings me to talking about the B storyline with Mr. Immortal and all his wives and all his marriages and all that stuff. I don't know if that guy's a comic book character or not, but I do know that he is supposed to be like a representation of basically a man-child, an emotional baby. The first character that I thought about, because again, the show takes its moments to make jokes at the expense of men, but you gotta identify who those men are when we're talking about it, because the one here is like the man that can't process his emotions, so he tries to escape. There are men like that. And the person that I think of specifically in another show is Jerry from Rick and Morty. I think of Jerry from Rick and Morty because Jerry even referred to himself as a baby in last week's episode. So it made sense that this guy's like, before I'm gonna have a conversation with you about how you feel or how I make you feel, I'll escape. I will abandon you and children and friends and family and everyone else that I meet because I'm not processing. I'm not willing to process, which again, it's a crack on the expense of men, but it's not something I take offense to because I'm not emotionally stunted. I'm not an emotional grown-up man-child like Mr. Immortal appeared to be. And to me, I like what they had him do. Just the fact that rather than be held accountable, I'll jump out a window. Like, really? That was funny. That was really funny, the way that whole scene played out. And then you get him again facing off in front of all the spouses. Nikki really gets a chance to shine in all of that. And I like the fact that they brought some value to her character. She's not just a side character who works at a legal firm and she's friends with Jen and she's useless. No, she's actually quite useful. She can work with a multitude of demands and bring it all in and help close a deal. So that's a skill. It's a skill. It's something that's valued, I imagine, in a situation just like that one. They put it on perfect display, and I like the way it all played out. It made me feel a deeper appreciation for the Nikki character, because she's cool and she provides a little comedic relief, but she had a real moment right there and made her useful for the storyline. So then you get through those conversations, you get the Intelligentsia website name drop. And seeing Intelligentsia and knowing about the MCU, it makes me think of the leader. I don't believe that they're gonna associate the leader with She-Hulk, although they can. They've talked about how Tim Blake Nelson has agreed to come back and play the leader. And I think the leader is gonna be the main villain for Captain America 4, which is supposed to be Sam Wilson's Captain America. So, man, if all those things tie together and this is how that show connects to the movies and the larger MCU, I would be happy with it. It would be a great thing that if all those strings could be tied together. But that's just me theorizing and throwing things out there. I think that the Intelligentsia website is also it has grains of truth to it, because I'm sure there are trolls on the internet that hate the She-Hulk character so much for the little digs that it does at men. They're sensitive to that stuff. And I think that there are people who are in message boards man, I hate this show. Wish we could get rid of that character. The Hulk is better, this and that. So it was cool to see the Intelligentsia thing kind of reflect real life. And then we also see that the Intelligentsia thing is connected to whoever is surveilling Jen, which is, wrapping up or connecting the A story and B story with the wedding and Josh and the fight with Titania to, what's happening with Nikki and the website that they found. So all cool stuff. I was very happy to see things unfold the way they unfolded. And upon the episode ending and not getting a post-credit scene, I sat back and I said, wow, this is probably one of my favorite episodes. The premiere and this are the top two for me. So what do you think? What are the top two for you? That's the question for the video. Let us know in the comment section. That's all we have to say. Drop a comment, please. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.